Okay, we kind of ended on this in the 60s around preparing for government entitlements. You've really now stepped into this, well, you're 70, you're well and truly into that whole world because you're over 67. There's probably a higher chance that you have stopped working or are about to stop work. So talk us through optimizing government entitlements and around that type of planning.
Yeah, agreed. So, I mean, if you haven't listened to the last one, go back and listen. It was quality as always. I think in two parts, Centrelink entitlements are a moving and evolving element. The rules do change, but also your circumstances change. Maybe at 67 you weren't eligible, but at 72 you are. So that's relevant, or vice versa. At 67 you weren't, but all of a sudden at 72 you've received an inheritance and now you're above the threshold. We need to review and assess that. But what I want to add to that layer is, I suppose, some more optimizing and using some extra strategies. So we touched on a little bit last time, gifting again can be a continual process. So as we mentioned, there is no limit on the amount that you gift. It's just how Centrelink interpreted that, which is up to $10,000 a year for 3 to 5 years is not counted. Anything above is deemed only for a period of 5 years. So even if you do realise you've got some excess assets and you give that away at 70, by the time you get to 75, Centrelink are no longer assessing that. A couple of things that may then start to come into play if you try and optimise it. You're on a part pension, but you'd like to get a little bit more. There are some things out there that are referred to as funeral bonds. And I think there is an episode of a bit of a deep dive on funeral bonds, but basically that's allowing you to put a certain amount of money. There's a cap, and the cap does change. At the moment it's around $15,000. It does change every year. Of your money or investments or super into this bond, that's still invested and ticking along like a super fund would be. It's accessible to go towards your funeral, but Centrelink do not count that as an asset. So if we do that each for a couple, there's some ways there that we can kind of get some money off the Centrelink radar.
Is there a maximum limit that you can have in a funeral bond?
No, it's about how much you're allowed to put into it. If it grows beyond that.
That's what I mean. So is there a maximum application amount?
Yeah, so $15,500. Yep. I think is a limit at the time of recording, but that does change per person.
Yeah, because the immediate thing for me was like, let's throw $1 million in the funeral bond, pay $15,000 for a funeral, and the estate can get this money.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, but no. So that's how much you're allowed to put in. Once it's in there, if it grows, fine, you're not penalised. But no, you can't top up or put more than that into that. That is per person. And like you just said, that $1 million. Well, what happens if my funeral costs less than that? It's refundable to the estate.
Yeah. Okay, so we can pretty much have $31,000 for a couple removed from Centrelink. And again, this is, if you are 67, you can do this.
Yeah.
But this is like really, you're in your 70s now, let's really try and optimise.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, is it something worthwhile to look at? Yes. Are there some limitations? Yes. If you decide you want to take that out for a car or holiday, you can't. So we want to put that in on the basis of, hey, I know I've got enough here, I'm not going to run out. And I'm in my 70s or my late 70s or early 80s. I know that's going to be on the radar. I want to make sure that my family doesn't have to pay for it. So hold on, you're telling me I can prepay for it now, plus I'll actually get a bit more while I'm alive? Yeah, you can.
Question, are prepaid funerals seen as the same in terms of Centrelink?
It depends.
Right.
It depends. The technical definition, some of them are not.
Right.
Some of them do come under the same rules. Whether you do that directly with the funeral home, whether you do that with a plot, etc., there are ways that can be structured, yes, and there are also ways that can be structured that are not.
Just on that, my immediate thought would be you wouldn't want to do a prepaid funeral. You'd want to do the funeral bond. Go with me, Martin.
I know where I'm going, but I'll see where you go.
Yeah, you're going to hell. Yeah. If I prepaid a $15,000 funeral today, and in 10 years' time, well, I paid $15,000, but funerals are now worth $20,000, I might not be able to get the funeral I wanted in the future. But at least if I've got $15,500 in a funeral bond that's invested,
keeping pace with inflation,
it's at least growing as well.
Yep.
Is that a valid thing?
That was one of the two that I was thinking of.
And the other one that I was going, I'll see if I can guess, if the funeral home goes under, or is it kept in a bond trust account? It's probably kept in a trust account. I haven't done these for years.
No, and I think that's where it depends. If it's a good one that's covered, then it would be more. I was thinking a little bit around, you may decide in the end, or your family may decide not to go with that provider.
Yes.
A funeral bond that they can decide. You can decide which provider. If you prepay it with company X, and you're right, the company X goes out of business.
I mean, if you're a funeral provider and you go out of business, it's not because business is bad.
No, it's a pretty regular clientele. But yeah,
not much repeat business from the same person. But
you might move away. The family move away. I prepaid a funeral in this suburb.
Yeah,
but now I live
Ipswich, and now I'm in
the other
Melbourne.
state, and they don't have. So that were the two things. Is one, 100% investing in a funeral bond. It keeps pace with inflation. You can still pick the underlying investments. You can be really aggressive. You can be really conservative.
Yeah.
But then also,
I mean, the downside there, if you die next Thursday and the market tanks, your prepaid funeral might be less
than what you put in for.
Your bond might be less than what you put in for.
Yeah, but you won't be around to feel that pain.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing is like portability as such is that your estate can decide who to use and what package to pick and those kind of things.
On the prepaid funeral thing and funeral bond thing, I'm kind of on the view that, I mean, you would only do it, I think, for two reasons. One, to hide $31,000 from Centrelink. Two, to have that money quarantined for your family. I don't think you would do it for any other reason, would you? Because if you've got other assets or the house, like the funeral, unless you have, what I'm trying to say, if you know that your family do not have the means, because the funeral home are going to want their 10 grand or whatever, they don't have the means to cash flow that until the estate's settled and paid out.
Which sometimes can be released from the estate early, but and I'm helping lots of people in their 70s and 80s. That is one of the things. If I just want to know that that's sorted and one less burden, etc. And so having that prepaid is that peace of mind. But yeah, actually the benefit of going, hold on, if I put $10,000 into that, I'm getting an extra $30 a fortnight as a couple for the rest of my life. So that's $30,000. That could be $2,000 a year of extra pension.
Yeah.
And it's still invested ticking along, and a peace of mind knowing your estate's got that looked after, but also you're getting an extra pension per fortnight. That can be pretty powerful.
So, I mean.
And it's not a have to do, and it's a little win, but that's what we're trying to optimize. Am I rushing out and doing that at 65? Probably not. But if I'm working with a client at 75 and we know that they're not going to run out of cash and we're just trying to get a little bit extra, that's on the table. And similarly, before we move on from government pensions, annuities or lifetime income streams, which is where you can use a certain amount of capital, purchase an annuity. The way that is assessed for Centrelink, if it is a lifetime annuity, is that it's not assessed as the full capital you put into it. Typically, the day you set that up, Centrelink will only assess 60% of the money you've put into that annuity.
We will flag and do another dedicated annuities Q&A maybe next time you're up here, because I think it's a really good topic.
Yep.
Annuities are good. Any other rounding points here?
No, and then other than, again, seniors health card. So if you're 71 and you to have too much in assets to get the age pension, make sure you're getting the seniors healthcare card. Make sure you review the entitlements because the thresholds do change. I went to the Centrelink office when I was 68 and they said I had too much. Make sure you revisit that because the thresholds do go up fairly frequently, and or vice versa. Because you applied when you were 68, but all of a sudden you've downsized home, received an inheritance, and now you've got a lot more money, you may still be getting a pension that you're maybe not entitled to, and at some point that's going to catch up with you and give you a scary adjustment.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, it's Glenn here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing. And there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.